Get those bees away from me!
Hi, welcome to our TED-like talk.
So one day while I was in the woods, I stepped on a beehive. I killed tons of bees. They were flying up my pants, up my sleeves. I felt really guilty about it. I just stepped on their home, probably killed their queen, ruined all their hard work, and my punishment was getting stung by the bees. I will never forget that day.
The funny thing is, there are no bees, because they're dying. Have you ever looked around and realized there aren't as many bees as there used to be? That's because they're dying, and you contribute to that in ways you may not even know.
The population of honeybees has increased since the 1960s. Well, that was when pesticides weren't commonly used. Now that we use pesticides, bees are dying rapidly. With all the harmful chemicals, pollutants, and pesticides we use, it is no wonder that bees are dying. Bayer.com helped us find this information.
Now I have a question for you. Have you ever seen the Bee Movie? Although it's supposed to be a comedy, it would show the surreal world we live in if bees died off or disappeared. We would live in a post-apocalyptic world without food, plants, or resources. Or the world would be miserable without bees.
Foods like blueberries, almonds, watermelons, and squash are produced heavily by bees. The pollen is carried by the bee, not carried by the air. A single bee colony can pollinate 300 million crops a day. Can you say the same? They clearly do their part to take care of us. Now, we need to take care of them. This is from the Greenpeace article, Save the Bees. Wasps, hornets, and bumblebees are also heavily impacted by bees dying. These are other breeds of bees, and they are being killed by pesticides as well. With these spawns of bees dying, well, we could say goodbye to the world we live in today. That means Pooh can't get his honey. Sorry, honey, no more honey for you.
Some solutions to saving bees are 1. Planting flowers. Planting flowers gives bees a place to pollinate. Don't use harmful pesticides on your yards or farms. Instead, use ecological farming methods and keep it organic. Eating genetically modified pesticide-induced foods aren't good for people anyway. Using alternative methods such as water filtration, pollution control, and managing pest control agencies, we can make a difference and save the bees.
Next time you go to step on a bee, use a can of bug spray on a bee, or use harmful pesticides in general, think about the consequences that you may have to deal with later on in life. You alone can change the lives of bees and all of those around you.
We have people who like to protect the bees. They are beekeepers. The practice of beekeeping dates back to at least 4,500 years. Beekeepers help keep the population of bees alive, and they take care of the queen bee. A productive queen can lay up to 2,500 eggs per day. The song Flight of the Bumblebees was created to represent the sound of a bee. Now, imagine a world without bees. We wouldn't have this song. It would sound like this. Pretty boring, right? Next time you go to kill a bee or any wasp, hornet, just imagine a life without the flight of the bumblebees. If you think about it, bees are one of the biggest suppliers in the world. Not only do they supply honey for us, but they supply us with pollinating flowers, carrying pollen, and basically producing the food we eat. Without the bees, we'd live in a pretty lackluster world. There'd be no flowers, no nature, pretty much nothing. And because of the bees, we thankfully have a pretty nice world to live in. To put this all in perspective for you, think of the world we live in. There's some places with high vegetation and plants. That's because of bees. And then we have places like the Arctic and deserts where there really aren't any plants. And the plants that they do have aren't really pollen plants. They don't need bees to help carry seedlings and pollen around. Now, we happen to live in a pretty vegetated area, and there are bees everywhere. Without the bees, You could say goodbye to flowers, trees, you name it. We should be doing the bees a favor, not kill them, because without them, we live in a pretty messed up world.
Save the bees!
Save the bees! Save the bees!
Save the bees. Save the bees.
Save the bees!
Save the bees!
Save the bees! I'll save the bees!
Fun.
Save the bees!
Save the bees.
Thank you for coming to our TED
Like-
Talk.
Save the bees!